Hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. Thank you, first of all, for inviting me to attend. It's a pleasure. I always love talking about Samoa. I rarely get an opportunity to do so, but yeah, it's wonderful being here and getting to see the country changing dramatically, which is fantastic. I was invited to talk about innovation just generally, and it kind of occurred to me that I've been in this role now for a number of years. I lived in Silicon Valley for about 6 years. And I've seen a lot of it in lots of different forms. I've seen it in a really good state. I've seen it fail. I've seen it not work so well. And I've seen it, like, after a lot of hard work, take off. So that's fantastic. But I think when I look at like Samoa, American Samoa, and the Pacific Islands broadly, strategically, you have just made one of the biggest jumps into the future you could imagine. The ability now for commerce, for education, really implies that, like, American Samoa now is a position where you can really take advantage of a whole heap of other domestic opportunities that you traditionally wouldn't probably think about. The call center initiative that I just saw Michael present prior, or sorry, maybe not Michael, but I saw prior is a classic example of being able to take, fantastic English-speaking resources and being able to create a community around it that's remote, that's fast, that's efficient, and that, more importantly, generates jobs, income, and stability for local resources. So being able to see that clearly means that, first of all, that this is something that you guys are tangentially aware of, I'm sure, but more importantly, strategically focused on, which is fantastic to see. But I really want to talk about the future and kind of the things that, the opportunities present, and then really some of the opportunities that you can take advantage of probably today. What you're beginning to see with COVID occur is that a lot of people are now beginning to take advantage of working from home, right? We're also seeing companies like Twitter, like Facebook, Google, all of these organizations are now beginning to realize that these principles of working from home are achievable and still allow you to be able to get an amazing return on investment on the investments you make in your people organizations. So what we're beginning to see is that realization occur really, really quickly. And I think Anna touched on that just briefly before. But really what it means now is that Samoans with fantastic English-speaking skills, as always, now are able to have an equalizer with the ability to be able to apply for companies like that, really get to the forefront of this type of innovation and put yourself forwards in order to be able to take advantage of the opportunities and cascade that information down to the wider populations and communities that you participate in. So that's fantastic. The second thing to consider is now whilst American Samoa in particular has always looked at the United States and the close aligned segments of the Pacific, it means that you can now start thinking further than that. It means that there are other opportunities in Southeast Asia, in Europe, that now become accessible, whereas before, because of bandwidth constraint, quite often it would be very difficult to communicate. And a lot of organizations in those territories need support locally so that they can actually support their businesses. So the amazing opportunities that are coming from a commercial sense are fantastic. But really, I think where the foundation will set is the focus on digital education. And really now the focus traditionally on picking up and going to the mainland and then having to get educated and then hopefully coming back to something is going to be very different in the future. The ability to acquire a high quality education online through institutions like Harvard, Oxford, all of these different institutions now have materials that can be cascaded and, more importantly, taken advantage of for the betterment of your own community. So that's fantastic to see. But really what it means is that in 10 to 20 years from now, the American Samoa that you know now will be very, very different. And I would probably suggest that you'll see greater skill sets with regards to global opportunity. So people taking senior roles in larger organizations around the world and being able to compete pound for pound with a person from the Netherlands or from Germany or from Australia, but being able to do that from somewhere like Samoa, because the bandwidth was traditionally the constraint. Now you have the access and the opportunity. The second thing to consider around this point is it's just the opportunity to be able to experience different cultures and share that amongst the community. As Samoans, we're always talking about the Fa Samoa and the implications of that in a global context. What you can now do is you can now share that belief structure across the world. That is something that most cultures don't really comprehend, but
I'm proud to say as a Samoan, I've seen it, participated in it, and whilst like it's been a long time since I've had it around me, the more important thing is that as a Samoan, it's always there, and I think that cultural aspect can be shared dramatically to the benefit of the whole world, and I don't think people quite understand that yet. The last thing that I'll leave you with is that on innovation itself, innovation really comes from the soul and the ability to see a problem and resolve it. I think that Samoans are very soulful. And as a result of that, there is a lot of opportunities to be able to create, iterate, and more importantly, get to market a lot of these ideas and concepts. So I think that if you kind of look at our history of being able to navigate and really understand where we're heading, I think the future for Samoa, and American Samoa in particular now, is one that should be exciting and should be relished in, because the strategic choice you've made to connect, to be part of this, and more importantly, to give the population access to this information is going to be dramatic. It's not without its challenges, but taking that first dramatic step and navigating it successfully, I know is at our core. And I'm proud to say that it's only a matter of time before it begins to wash across. So with that, I just want to again say, firstly, thank you for having me here. More importantly, I'm very, very keen to see how this develops. And I'm very proud as a Samoan to see now that you're enabled and that you're on the stage and you can compete, because it's time. Thank you very much.